10 hours in seat 42B is a biological catastrophe. Your blood stagnates in your veins while the airline counts its profits. Deep vein thrombosis does not care how old you are or how much you paid for your ticket. Stop. The system is rigged against you. Airlines are pocketing $600 compensations that belong in your pocket while hiking fares by over 40%. One tiny mistake on a digital form or a microscopic smudge on your passport photo can lead to a $2,000 vacation being canceled at the gate. The airport has become a minefield of hidden rules and biometric traps. You need these 12 rules to survive the terminal and keep your money where it belongs. Rule 1 of 12. Did you know that nearly 40% of international travelers overlook a hidden passport rule that can ruin a vacation before it starts? Take Eleanor, a 42-year-old architect from New York. She stood at the JFK terminal counter, clutching her boarding pass and dreaming of the London skyline. The gate agent scanned her passport and stopped. The machine flashed red. "You cannot fly today," the agent said flatly. Eleanor was confused. Her passport did not expire for another 90 days. She thought she was safe. She was wrong. To the airline, that book was a useless paperweight because of the 6-month validity rule. Panic set in as her $2,000 trip vanished in an instant. Here is the reality. Many countries enforce a strict rule requiring your passport to be valid for at least 6 months beyond your date of departure. The airline will not tell you this when you buy the ticket. They will wait until you are standing at the gate, unable to get a refund. They are banking on your ignorance. To stay safe, check the entry requirements on the State Department website at least 2 months before you book anything. If you have under 7 months of validity left, renew it immediately. Eleanor ended up paying an extra $200 in expedited fees just to salvage a shorter version of her trip 3 days later. A simple date check saves your flight. But even a valid date won't help you when Rule 2 hits. Rule 2 of 12. Check your passport photo page for any signs of physical wear right now. Elijah, a 28-year-old nurse from Seattle, was ready for a long-awaited medical conference in Tokyo. He was waiting at the SEA gate, scrolling through his phone, when the agent asked for his documents. Elijah had a tiny water stain on the bottom corner of his photo page. He thought it just added character to his travels. He was mistaken. The agent looked at the stain and shook her head slowly. Elijah's confusion turned to pure panic as he was denied boarding on the spot. The airline won't tell you this, but even a microscopic tear or a small smudge near your biometric data chip can render the document mutilated in the eyes of federal law. If the scanner can't read the chip perfectly, you aren't going anywhere. They profit from your seat being empty, while you lose your entire booking. Here is the fix. Inspect your document under a bright desk lamp tonight. Look for fraying edges or any tear longer than a 1/4 inch. If you see damage, get an expedited replacement immediately. Never try to use tape or glue to fix a loose page. It makes you look like a criminal to border agents. Elijah lost his seat and $1,200 in non-refundable hotel bookings. Don't be a victim of a smudge. This mistake is painful, but it is nothing compared to the trap of the digital ghost in Rule 3. Rule 3 of 12. Alexander, a 31-year-old dentist, arrived at the check-in desk in Venice, Italy, with a confident smile. He handed over his passport, expecting a quick boarding pass for his flight back to the States. The agent scanned the book, but the system chirped a warning. "I am sorry, sir, but this document has been canceled," the agent said. Alexander froze. He realized his mistake instantly. He had clicked the Submit button on an online passport renewal application the night before he left for the airport. He figured he could use his old physical book until the new one arrived in the mail weeks later. He was wrong. The second you hit that Submit button, the global database flags your current passport number as void. It becomes a useless piece of blue paper. Airlines hope you don't know this because a canceled passport means a forfeited ticket. In 2024, thousands of travelers were stranded abroad because they tried to be efficient with their paperwork. Here is the fix. Never start an online renewal if you have international travel scheduled within the next 30 days. The digital record updates instantly, long before the mail carrier ever reaches your front door. Stop and check your calendar twice. Alexander lost a $1,200 flight because of one single click of a mouse. Reality check. Digital systems are fast, but the validity gap is a trap designed for the unwary. You just lost your trip, but that is nothing compared to the blank page ghosting in Rule 4. Rule 4 of 12. Have you ever looked at a passport full of colorful ink stamps and felt like a seasoned explorer? Most people do. But for Ella, a 35-year-old lawyer, those stamps turned into a legal nightmare at the CDG terminal in Paris. She stood at immigration, watching the officer flip through her pages with growing frustration. He wasn't looking at her travel history. He was looking for empty space. Entry denied. Ella had 22 stamps from all over the world, but she lacked the 2 consecutive blank pages required for entry into that specific zone. The system is rigged. They expect you to keep track of every square inch of paper. Many countries require 2 to 4 entirely blank pages for their entry visas and stamps. If you are a frequent traveler, you might run out of room before you run out of time on your passport's expiration date. Here's the fix. Check your book 6 months before any big trip. If you have under 4 blank pages left, it is time to renew, even if the expiration date is years away. When you are at immigration, politely ask officers to stamp near your old ones to save real estate. This is a common trap for business travelers. Ella eventually got through after a 4-hour delay and a massive headache with airport security. Remember that stamps are just memories, but empty space is what actually gets you through the gate. Full pages are a risk, but they are nothing compared to the new technology coming in Rule 5. Rule 5 of 12. Starting in 2025, your U.S. passport alone is no longer enough to enter 30 different European countries. The rules of the game are changing. Matthew, a 25-year-old chef from Boston, arrived at the check-in counter for a flight to Milan. He had his bags packed and his passport ready. But the agent just shook her head and asked for his travel authorization. Matthew was stunned. He had flown to Italy 5 times before without a single extra piece of paper. Not today. Here is the ugly truth about the ETIAS system. You must apply for this digital authorization online at least 4 days before you head to the airport. If you don't have it, the airline is legally required to turn you away at the gate. It costs about $8 and lasts for 3 years, but the airline won't remind you to get it until it is too late to help you. Matthew scrambled on his phone, sweating as the clock ticked toward his departure time. Most approvals take minutes, but if your application gets flagged for a manual review, it can take weeks. Subscribe to these updates to stay ahead of the system. Matthew barely made his flight by the skin of his teeth, but a bigger tech trap was waiting at the border. You just saved your vacation, but that is nothing compared to the biometric stress of Rule 6. Rule 6 of 12. Look closely at the kiosks the next time you land in Europe. Henry, a 47-year-old engineer from Houston, was used to the familiar thud of an ink stamp on paper. He stood at the immigration line, waiting for his turn. But the ink stamps are dying. The system is being rigged to catch the unprepared through the new Entry-Exit System, or EES. This technology has officially replaced the traditional stamp in many major hubs. Now, your face and your fingerprints are your primary ID. Henry gripped his carry-on handle as the agent pointed him toward a sleek, biometric kiosk. Instead of a friendly officer, a high-tech camera scanned his retinas and mapped his fingerprints. They are banking on your ignorance. Most travelers think they can just breeze through like it is 2019. If the kiosk fails to capture your data correctly at your first point of entry, you risk major delays and even detention at every internal border you cross. Here is the fix. Take your time at the kiosk. Ensure the lighting is clear and your fingers are flat on the scanner. Henry followed the digital prompts and made it through, but many others were pulled aside for questioning. Data is the new stamp, and it never fades. But even digital IDs won't save you if you don't know the secret shortcut in Rule 7. Rule 7 of 12. Matteo, a 33-year-old photographer, stood at the back of a massive immigration line at EWR after a long flight from Brussels. His feet ached from standing on the hard floor. He stared at the empty global entry lane, wishing he had paid the $100 fee and waited months for a background check and interview. Most people think there are only two choices. You either wait for hours in the general line, or you pay for a premium status. The system wants you to believe that. Stop. There is a third way that most people ignore. Matteo pulled out his phone and opened the official Mobile Passport Control app. This is a free government tool available at nearly 50 major airports across the country. While the crowd fumbled with paper customs forms, he submitted his travel details digitally in about 30 seconds. The agent saw his digital receipt and pointed him to a dedicated MPC lane. He sailed through immigration in under 5 minutes. No interview was required, no background check was needed. It cost him $0. Reality check. It won't work at every small regional airport, but for major hubs, it is a lifesaver. Matteo was in an Uber before his seatmates even reached the front of the main line. This is an efficient move. But speed at customs means nothing if you aren't ready for the gold star requirement in Rule 8. Rule 8 of 12. Have you checked your driver's license lately for a tiny gold star in the corner? Mila, a 39-year-old accountant from Portland, thought she was perfectly prepared for her domestic trip to a friend's wedding. She reached the TSA checkpoint at 8:15 a.m. and handed over her license. The officer didn't even scan it. He just looked at her and shook his head. "No star, no flight," he said. Since the federal deadline passed, a standard license is just a useless piece of plastic at the airport security line. The heartbreak was real as Mila watched her plane take off without her. She missed the wedding and lost $800 in airfare. Don't let this happen to you. Check your license right now. If there is no star in the upper right corner, you aren't getting past security for any flight, even a short one to the next state over. You will need to bring a passport or a military ID instead. Most DMVs are backed up for months with people trying to get their real ID. Book your appointment today to beat the rush. The system is rigged against those who wait until the last minute. Mila learned the hard way that a gold star is the difference between a vacation and a trip back to the parking lot. But even a real ID won't save your wallet when Rule 9 changes the price of travel. Rule 9 of 12. Airfare to North America is projected to surge by a staggering 42% by June 2026. It is officially becoming the most expensive month in the history of aviation. If you are planning to fly during that window, you need a strategy. Leo, a 45-year-old designer from Philadelphia, sat staring at his laptop in pure disbelief. A standard coach ticket for a short 3-hour flight was listed at over $1,700. He felt the heat rising in his neck. This isn't just inflation. It is a predatory trap. Airlines are banking on your ignorance of fare cycles to drain your savings. Stop. Here is the fix to bypass the June tax. Look for flights arriving at smaller regional hubs within a 60-mile radius of your destination. Often, a 40-minute drive can save you $500 in airfare. Also, remember the 24-hour rule. You can cancel and rebook for free if a price drop occurs within a day of your purchase. Leo eventually saved $450 by shifting his travel date by just 48 hours and flying into a secondary airport. Greed is the new pilot in the cockpit. You just saved a fortune on fares, but that is nothing compared to the $600 you lose when Rule 10 hits your bank account. Rule 10 of 12. Stop accepting those worthless airline miles the moment they try to bump you from an overbooked flight. Sebastian, a 51-year-old consultant, was at the Miami airport last Tuesday afternoon. The flight was packed to the ceiling. The gate agent announced they were looking for volunteers and offered Sebastian 15,000 points to take a later plane. Sebastian almost said yes. But this is where they screw you. Points have blackout dates, and they expire faster than airport sushi. They are banking on your ignorance of your actual rights. The airline won't tell you this, but if you are bumped against your will because of overbooking, you are often entitled to cold, hard cash. Federal regulations in the United States can require airlines to pay you up to 4 times the one-way fare, with a maximum of $1,550 depending on the length of the delay. Demand a check or an electronic payment, not a voucher that forces you to spend more money with the same company that just delayed you. Sebastian stood his ground and walked away with a $600 check. It won't happen every single time, but knowing the rules gives you the upper hand. Points are a bribe. Cash is your right. Subscribe to this channel to beat the corporate system. You just won this round, but that is nothing compared to the biological emergency in Rule 11. Rule 11 of 12. William, a 63-year-old librarian, sat crammed into seat 42B on a 10-hour haul across the Atlantic to Frankfurt. He ignored the growing tightness and dull ache in his calves, thinking it was just the usual torture of flying coach. But sitting still for 10 hours in a pressurized cabin is a biological emergency for your circulatory system. The airline won't tell you this, but lack of movement causes blood to pool in your lower legs, which can lead to life-threatening clots. William didn't realize that deep vein thrombosis doesn't care about your fitness level or your age. To fix this, you need to perform ankle pumps every hour. Flex your feet up and down 20 times to keep the blood moving. Most people overlook the simple power of compression socks, which apply pressure to your lower legs to maintain blood flow. They hope you don't know this rule so they can keep seats small and cramped. A quick walk to the back of the plane every 2 hours is your best defense against a hospital visit. Stand up anyway, even if the person next to you looks annoyed. Your health is a necessity, not a courtesy. William landed with stiff legs, but he was lucky he didn't have a major complication. Movement is your survival kit in the sky. But moving your legs won't help you when Rule 12 changes your destination entirely. Rule 12 of 12. Are you tired of paying $7 for a small bottle of water in a crowded European plaza? Lucas, a 56-year-old analyst from Nashville, certainly was. He sat at the B&A terminal, staring at an expensive ticket to a city he had already visited twice. He saw the same crowds and the same rising fees everywhere he looked. While traditional tourist traps build digital walls and hike permits, a massive shift is happening in the travel world. The Silk Road is becoming the new luxury frontier. They are banking on your ignorance of geography to keep you in high-fee zones. Countries like Uzbekistan have scrapped the red tape and eliminated visa requirements for many travelers. Now you can find 5-star luxury hotels for the price of a budget motel in a crowded city like Paris or Rome. Lucas traded his typical European holiday for a trip to Samarkand, and his dollar went 3 times as far. The system is rigged to keep you in high-cost areas where corporations can drain your wallet. Don't be a victim of habit. Reality check. English isn't spoken on every corner there yet, but the hospitality is miles ahead of any Western tourist trap. Lucas found a stunning new world for half the cost of his original plan. Smart travelers win by looking where others aren't. If you don't know these 12 rules, the airport will take your money and your peace of mind every single time you fly. The airlines hate that you know these secrets. Hit subscribe right now to keep winning and fly like a pro on an economy budget.